Canada just got access to something that makes a BMW 5 Series look like it is stuck in the past, and Americans cannot touch it. A Chinese electric sedan just landed in the Canadian market, one that has no rear window, one that hits 60 miles per hour faster than most Porsches, one with a dashboard so wide it stretches further than most living room televisions, and one that, in its home market, costs less than a loaded Toyota Camry. I am not exaggerating any of that. Every single one of those things is real, and by the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly why the premium auto industry is quietly panicking right now. This is the AVATR 12. And if you have not heard of it yet, buckle up, because this one is going to change how you look at cars. Let's start with where this car actually comes from, because the backstory matters. For years, the conversation around Chinese cars in Western markets went something like this: affordable, practical, fine for the basics, but nothing you would choose over something from Germany or Japan if you had real money to spend. That was the assumption. And for a long time, it was not entirely wrong. But industries do not stand still. And what has been happening in China's electric vehicle space over the last few years is not a gradual evolution. It is more like a dam breaking. New companies, new technology, new ideas about what a car should feel like, and new partnerships that nobody was fully prepared for. The AVATR 12 comes from exactly one of those partnerships. 3 companies built this thing together. Chang'an, one of China's most established automakers with decades of manufacturing experience. CATL, the company that supplies battery technology to a huge portion of the world's electric vehicle market, including brands you know well. And Huawei, yes, that Huawei, the same company behind some of the most advanced consumer technology on the market. When those 3 sat down and decided to build a luxury electric sedan together, they were not aiming for the middle of the road. They were aiming at the very top. And what they produced is something that earns that ambition. Now let's talk about what this car actually is, because once you go through it properly, the picture gets pretty wild. The AVATR 12 is a large sedan, over 5 meters long, with a wheelbase that puts it right alongside a Mercedes EQE in terms of sheer size. But it does not carry its size the way a traditional luxury sedan does. The roofline flows in one unbroken sweep from front to rear, giving it this low, wide, almost predatory stance. It looks like it is moving even when it is parked. The front end ditches the traditional grille entirely and replaces it with a clean sculpted face and razor-thin LED headlights that look genuinely aggressive at night. But the rear is where things get interesting. There is no rear window, none. Where the glass would normally be, there is just smooth, uninterrupted bodywork, and a camera system feeds live video to screens inside the cabin. When you first hear that, it sounds like a gimmick. When you actually see the result, it just looks right, like this was obviously always the better solution, and everyone else simply had not gotten there yet. Step inside and the feeling continues. Stretching across the full width of the dashboard is a single continuous display running close to 35 inches from one side to the other. Navigation, speed, media, driving data, all of it in one seamless interface. Below that sits a central touchscreen running Huawei's operating system. And if you have ever used a high-end Huawei device and been impressed by how smooth it felt, this is that experience scaled up and built into the center of a car. Voice commands actually work the way you want them to. Software updates arrive over the air. The car improves after you buy it. The seats have heating, ventilation, and massage across all 4 positions. The panoramic roof floods the cabin with light, and that massive wheelbase means rear passengers get proper legroom, the kind where a long drive feels like something you actually want to do rather than something you are trying to survive. Then come the numbers, and this is where the conversation tends to stop cold. The dual-motor all-wheel drive setup produces around 578 horsepower, 0 to 60 in approximately 3.9 seconds. In a full-size luxury sedan with massage seats and a dashboard wider than most living room televisions. That is not sedan performance. That is sports car performance, wearing a very expensive suit. The battery is a 94.5 kilowatt-hour pack sitting on an 800-volt architecture, which means charging happens fast enough to actually fit into real life. Range on a full charge reaches around 400 miles under standard testing, that is, Toronto to Montreal with room to spare. And then there is the driver assistance system, 4 separate LiDAR units working alongside cameras and radar through Huawei's ADS platform. LiDAR fires laser pulses in every direction and builds a precise real-time map of everything around the vehicle. 4 of them means essentially no blind spots. The system handles highway driving assistance, automatic lane changes, and intelligent parking. And it does all of this with a smoothness that makes it feel less like a feature and more like a genuinely capable co-pilot. Now here's the part that reframes everything else. In China, this car starts at the equivalent of around $37,000. The fully loaded version with the quad lidar, the Huawei tech suite, the massage seats, the 800-volt architecture, all of it sits at roughly $59,000. Bringing a vehicle like this to Canada involves import costs, regulatory compliance, distribution, and after-sales infrastructure. So the number a Canadian buyer sees will be higher than that. But the underlying point does not change. Because the point is what is possible when a manufacturer can deliver this level of technology, this level of design, and this level of performance from that kind of starting cost. It resets the expectations of what any car at any price point should be able to offer. And that is the thing that established brands are sitting with right now. A few years ago, talking about a Chinese luxury EV in the same breath as BMW, Mercedes, and Tesla would have sounded like an overstatement. Today you can go through the AVATR 12 spec sheet line by line and find it matching or beating those cars category after category. The electric vehicle era was always going to shake things up. When the fundamental architecture of a car changes, advantages built over decades of refining combustion engines do not automatically carry over. New manufacturers can come in with no legacy to protect and no reason to do things the old way. The AVATR 12 is what happens when that freedom is actually used well. And the most important part of this story is not that one impressive car showed up in Canada. It is that this is not a one-off. This is the direction things are moving in, and the pace is faster than most people expected. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe for more stories about the technologies reshaping our world. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.